This is a heated debate between Konstanton and Kisin on the left with Safdie and Amos about civilians killed on October 7th by Hamas. Let's dive into this.
One point. How many civilians do you think Hamas killed on October 7th? Because you keep saying you're against targeting civilians, but it also sounds like you don't think they killed any civilians.
I haven't seen convincing evidence that they have. I think the majority of the civilian deaths.
I don't know what convincing evidence he's talking about. I mean, it's well known that 1,200 people were killed, which of, I believe, 850 were innocent civilians. Hamas recorded this with GoPros.
Where from friendly fire.
How many would you say that they did kill Hamas?
I would love to see an official investigation into this, but it's very telling that Israel won't have an investigation into this.
How many would you say that they've killed? I mean, it's a simple question.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't done an investigation, but I'd like to see one. I think it's very telling that they won't do one.
No, but that's not answering my question, right? That girl whose dead body we saw being driven off in the back of a truck, was she killed by Israeli forces?
No. So
that's one. That's one that we can say was definitely killed by Hamas, okay?
Yeah.
Right. How many more do you think were probably killed by Hamas?
I'm telling you.
10? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? How many?
I don't know. I'd like to see an investigation into this. But you know what I do know?
But you're absolutely certain about Hamas figures about how many Palestinians have been killed, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not certain about their figures. I know what is going on in Gaza, and I know that there is no way that you could destroy an entire city of 2 million people and not kill at least tens of thousands of people.
Okay.
Why are we ignoring that the fact that this is filmed? I mean, they uploaded it to Telegram. They uploaded it to the internet to show people that they've been killing civilians. There was a Hamas terrorist that called his father and said, "Dad, I killed 10 Jews with my hands." Well, why are we, meaning Hamas is saying they're gladly killing civilians, and this guy over here, I don't have convincing evidence. That's how crazy. This is crazy of a world that we live in.
There's been tens of thousands of deaths. And I know because I know people in Gaza. I know people who know people in Gaza. And I know just how many of the people they know have been dead. I think what's been reported.
I'm not disputing that lots of people have been killed in Gaza.
So the source is, trust me, bro. I know people who know people. That's the source. Got it.
Yeah, and I think
but I am disputing that Hamas didn't kill civilians. Hamas killed a lot of civilians on October 7th.
Yes, but Israel has killed a lot more civilians, and this is what you know.
But the comparative game there is irrelevant to me. We killed a lot more German civilians than Germany killed our civilians in World War II. I think that's perfectly justified.
This is what I mean when I say Zionist NPC. We can kill as many of them as we can, as we want, because that's justified, because we are reacting, because we are just, because we are trying to get our hostages back. Nothing they do is justified. It's not. It only works in your brain because you haven't.
Safety. Are you even listening to what I'm saying? You keep saying the phrase, nothing they do is justified. I just said to you 3 times now, 3 times, if Hamas had attacked Israeli military installations and IDF troops and killed IDF troops and Israeli military installations were destroyed, that to me would be a completely different thing. So it's not that nothing they do is justified.
But any crime by Hamas justifies any kind of reaction by Israel.
No.
Which is why you never see any kind of criticism.
The answer is, why hasn't Gaza been flattened ever before? They're absolutely Israel flattened them right now. Why? If you're taking the let's say the side of safety in here, why is this the first time that Gaza has been turned into a parking lot? They've been at this conflict for decades. Now is the first time. Why? Because they attacked and they killed hundreds of civilians in one day. One day. For years, they've been shooting rockets. They've been attacking soldiers, taking soldiers hostages for years. And Israel never turned Gaza into a parking lot, which maybe they should have in retrospect, because maybe this wouldn't have happened. Maybe October 7th would have never happened. But now they have.
coming from people like you towards anything that Israel does.
You have to actually listen to what I'm saying. Otherwise, it's impossible to have a
I
conversation.
am listening. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy of saying that it's okay for Israel to kill 50,000 people to rescue their hostages. It's not okay for Hamas to kill anybody. I'm trying to tell you it's wrong for both. I'm trying to tell you it's wrong for both.
No, but you see, you keep missing deliberately, I think, at this point, because you're a smart guy. You keep missing the point that I'm making, which is that there's a big difference between attempting to rescue hostages or attempting to kill terrorists and simply targeting civilians for the purpose of targeting civilians, right? There's a big...
Do you guys watching this video, you comment below, do you agree with that difference? That's a key distinction here, a key point that he's making. Do you agree with that difference? Let's see what Safdien says.
Difference between those two principles. One of those things is called war. The other of those things is called terrorism. And there's a big difference between the two. Strapping a bomb to your chest and getting on a bus is very different to going to war and attempting to rescue hostages, in the process of which civilians get killed. They're different activities entirely. There's a different moral calculus and it works entirely differently. That's the difference.
I see. So you're not a fan of terrorism and you think terrorism is not justifiable. You don't think targeting civilians is justifiable.
Correct.
And does that include Palestinian civilians?
It includes any civilians anywhere, including, by the way, for example, I'm Russian. My wife is Ukrainian. I have lots of family in both countries. I have been very outspokenly pro-Ukrainian throughout the entire conflict. I do not support killing Russian civilians in retaliation to what Russia is doing in Ukraine, nor do I support, obviously, Russia killing Ukrainian civilians, right? So it's not difficult to support people being able to wage war in situations where they have to wage war without also then condemning the massacring of civilians that is deliberate and purposeful targeting for the sake of killing civilians. That is not the same as collateral damage in conflict. They're different things.
No, but here's the thing. The problem is that you think any kind of death meted out by Israel is collateral damage because in your mind...
No, I don't. I don't think that.
Yes, which is why you don't see when Israel goes and murders Palestinians, when an Israeli terrorist goes into a Palestinian village and shoots people, as happens every day these days in the West.
When has that happened? An Israeli terrorist goes into an Arab village and just shoots people? I think the last time that happened, it happened in the West Bank 30 years ago, maybe more. What is he talking about?
Back every single day, pogroms of settlers surrounded by soldiers protecting them, going into Palestinian villages, burning people's homes, burning their cars, shooting people. This happens every day. You don't say anything about it. You don't condemn it. You don't think it's a problem. You don't
if you want me to condemn it, I will happily look. I don't
want you to condemn it. I don't want you to
let me respond. You've got to let me respond.
Go ahead.
You made the point. You got to let me respond. So, as I said to you, I don't talk about this issue publicly because it's not an area of expertise of mine. If anyone asks me about the West Bank, I can tell you what my understanding of the West Bank is. I don't like a lot of the things that are being done in the West Bank. I don't like a lot of the things that the settlers are doing. And I do not support burning people's homes and massacring people and killing people and pushing them out of wherever they live. So when you say you don't condemn it, if you ask my opinion, I will give it to you. I don't support some of the things that are being done there.
Okay, so that's where this clip wraps up. There's actually on the YouTube video where this conversation took place on Trigonometry's channel, there's a comment that I loved. Imagine thinking Hamas killed no civilians on October 7th when they literally recorded it and proudly shared it for the whole world to see, oftentimes live streamed. What an absolute Fruit Loop. Don't know, I like Fruit Loops, but not this type of Fruit Loop. I'm guessing I don't like this Fruit Loop. He is the example of why negotiations always fail and why there will never be peace between Israel and Palestine. I hope that's not the case. I hope there can be peace with these two countries, with these two people. I think that what Safdien here is saying is extremely dangerous to think that you're considering the IDF terrorists. They're an army fighting a war they did not start, by the way. They did not start this war. October 6th, October 5th, October 4th, Gaza was standing. People were living their lives flourishing, not flourishing. I mean, their government was Hamas, so that's kind of their problem, whether they were flourishing or not. But October 7th came, and Hamas came and killed over 800 civilians, 1,200 people, 800 civilians, women, children, babies, on their way to synagogue, on their way to a shul on a holiday. And then you're not happy about what the response is? I'm sorry. But when you cross that bridge, you don't get to decide what happens. It's out of your hands at that point. You're not happy about it? They shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have done it. Should stop the terrorism. And the people like this who go on media, who go on TV, CNN or YouTube channels, and are soft on terror or soft on terrorists, that is a travesty of justice. It is a sad thing to see.